Caroline, I'm going live now.
Good evening. It's Monday night, and that means it's Rick's Coffee House, now in a new way known as Rick Konkoff's Coffee House, since there were about 2,000 Rick's Coffee Houses all over Facebook. Decided to make my name a little bit more original, and Konkoff's pretty memorable. I'd like to welcome you. Tonight we have a really wonderful show, and it includes an old friend of mine, an alumni, a student. I'm not going to say a protege because I don't think I taught him to play guitar. It is Marty O'Reilly. And Marty has established what I think is, of all the students and all my past students and all the various people that have played music in my 40-year history of teaching, the most unique style and brand of music. And it's so unique that I'm going to let him introduce his first song, because I don't really know what to call the music except I would call it soul folk, deep, interesting, enigmatic music. How's that?
That's all really sweet, and that's about as briefly as I can describe it too. It's kind of like a joke in my band of, because it's one of the most common questions you get: what kind of music you play. And after all these years, I still can't quite answer that question. And I always kind of fumble around like this. But the nice thing is that when I play solo, like I'm doing today, it's a little bit easier to nail down. When I play solo, it's mostly folk and blues and what a lot of people would call like alt folk, and sometimes like old gospel songs. But when I lead my band, it's a 4-piece with the violin plugged into a guitar amplifier and an upright bass and a drum kit and myself, and we just kind of like to do get a little experimental, try out different things.
Nice.
And since we're kind of just getting right going here, I thought I'd start with something easy and fun and just do an old cover that I really love. This is a song that I got from a guy named John Vandiver, and it's called Yonder Come the Blues.
I am so excited.
Raindrops keep falling on a roof of tin. Oh, bad news. I ain't seen no sunshine since God knows when. Well, I guess I'm bound to pay my dues. Oh, Lord, look over your shoulder now and tell me, what did you see? Yonder come the blues running right after me. Keeps on raining all the time, sometimes out, but mostly in. I keep on waiting for that old sun to shine. Yeah, since I can't remember when. Oh, Lord, look over your shoulder now and tell me, what did you see? Yonder come the blues running right after me. So if your mama, she just wants to treat you right, I think you better take my advice. Don't you go pussyfooting around late at night. 'Cause if you do so, then you better think twice. Oh Lord, look over your shoulder now. Tell me, what did you see? Yonder come the blues running right after me.
All right. I forgot to tune before I started playing, Rick. That's a bad move on my part. I should know better.
Take a minute.
I got it.
Take
We're
a minute.
fine.
You got it?
Yes.
Good. So I'm going to come back on a little bit. These
Yeah.
are these here are very reminiscent to Marty and I, because they are the curtain, look just like the curtains at the high school that Marty went to. Almost as if I went there and took a picture of him and using it as a background, but I'm not. Anyway, Marty, that was a great song. It really loosened me up. And I have a really nice soda here, and I want to drink it, but I'm not going to, because we're in this beautiful lounge, or I guess you'd call it a parlor, in an inn that we're staying at. We're going to give a little plug to them in a little bit. We're up in Mendocino, and no matter where I go, this show goes on Monday nights. And so goes our responsibility to support Marty. To put him through his PhD program in music. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not sure if that's exactly right, but we would like to invite you to leave something off in Marty's Venmo account or in his PayPal account, or you can go over to his house. I'm sure you can track him down, because we can track anybody down on
the
Facebook,
vaccine, so yes, you can. Yeah.
And go see Marty, and leave it off at his doorstep. He also accepts, I think, Medicare, Medi-Cal, and food stamps. So that should help him out tonight. Anyway, so Marty has tell us a little bit about where you've toured around and where you've played. I know there are certain places that you have played around California. Where else have you been?
A lot of places, and it's not because I'm so wildly successful. It's because it's sort of in the spirit of those adventures in your 20s things that we were like, yeah, we'll go to Europe and play in pubs and sleep on floors, and I'm past that phase now where actually making a living and stuff like that. But so, it was kind of one of the things that was important to my band and I over the years is, let's go all these places in the world, but we might not normally get to go, and just do this and make it happen. So I tour a lot in the United Kingdom, in England, and mostly also Wales, Northern Ireland. I get over to the continent when I can. We play in the Netherlands, Germany, Switzerland. Where else? Dominican Republic.
Wow. Your name hints that you have an Irish background. And as a matter of fact, Andy Sherwood is watching right now from UK. Is that someone that you know?
Probably.
That's great. Because I'm sure you memorize every single person that sees you play, or that even comes up to you and says, great music, great songs.
I try.
I watched Marty develop from a very young age in music, but I don't remember, what was the first instrument you played?
Well, so I think there's gonna be a handful of folks watching that don't necessarily know our connection, and that's that I was a Waldorf student at Summerfield Waldorf, and Rick, you were teaching the orchestra, but wearing a lot of hats. You were leading the orchestra and sort of like big in the leadership of the community at the school. And one thing that was really formative for me was we did a retreat for Romany music. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
I'm pretty sure Ron was with us too.
Ron, may his memory be, for a blessing, was there, and that was his class, actually. So you must have been in his class doing Romany music, and I think you guys made a recording that I still have.
I don't remember recording, but I remember a lot of that trip. But anyway, so music was, of course, a big part of my education in one form or another throughout my whole life. And I think the first moment where I realized, you try out so many different things in Waldorf school, and for me, that was an experience of learning how bad I was at a lot of things.
Right, you gotta try everything.
Yeah. But there was this moment where I was actually in recorder class with Isabel Winsome, and I sort of had this moment where I was like, oh, I can kind of feel sort of confident in music here for a second, and that was really cool. Especially after spending a life sort of failing at piano. But when I didn't pick up guitar until high school, which was when, you and I probably got to know each other a lot more.
Right.
Right. And there was so many outlets for me to learn guitar at Summerfield too. There was American folk music in the Romany class and stuff like that. So guitar, this was my first acoustic guitar, and I would play it there at the high school on the steps and stuff during our breaks.
Well, it's nice that you brought it tonight. And I'm going to ask you to play another song. But before I do, I'm going to give you a little thought. I'm not going to call it an exercise, but just something to think about. And that is that I have learned from playing violin and recording and playing music for many, many years, writing music, that songs kind of separate themselves into two categories for me. Discovery and invention. And a discovery song is like there's this current of notes, because all of the notes are infinite and all the combinations are infinite, so they're all up there, and someone grabs one out of that sort of line of musical notes, brings it down, and discovers. It's like you write it and you go like, yeah, this song was always meant to be written. And then an invention song is more like, formula songs and songs that you sit down and say, let's write a song about this today. No, I think I'll write about that. And so I'd like to have you just think about that for some time in the show, to talk about, to address that, and whether you think that is accurate, and what your thoughts are about the difference between an invented song and a discovered song, if that floats your boat.
Totally. I can nerd out on stuff like this for a long time.
Yeah. Well, of course
it's funny. Your description is actually really similar to something that my bandmates and I talk about a lot, which is we really like to try and tap into a headspace where we're really connected. And there's always sort of this visual element that we talk about of when we really get into that headspace, it kind of feels like you're all connecting to this thing that's the music's kind of floating up above everybody. And your description of sort of plucking a note out, it sort of sounds like a different interpretation of a very similar experience, because there really is that sort of like floating above you quality. Whereas on the sort of invention side that you were talking about, this is the stuff that I love to kind of study. It's like studying the craft of what you do. So I do love to get into the nitty gritty of like how does creative process work and things like that. And as we talked about the other day, like I've had a lot of problems with writer's block recently. And so studying this sort of thing is a helpful tool to kind of work your way out of there. And one of the things that I've been kind of feeling like is that these things actually kind of sit on a spectrum to me. And they can sit anywhere in between the different polarities of that spectrum, which on one end is sort of like things we've experienced and consciously want to write about, and on the other end being this sort of stream of consciousness, or what I've been trying to think of as a playful quality. One thing that's really helped me be able to create more music recently is to stop thinking of myself as trying to craft something good, and to instead just enjoy improvising, be playful with music, and then the writing is just the things that I pick up and enjoy along the way to that experience and decide to hold on to.
Yes, and I really love that. And the other thing I will say is it's kind of a continuum. And just as I not recently, but a long while ago, one of the classes I think you remember me teaching was Comparative Religions. And
Yes.
I've come to the definition of a soul as given by a quantum physicist who wrote a book called Quantum Physics and the Soul. And he says the human soul can be defined as unlimited, infinite possibility. And then we make a choice. And then that eliminates a bunch of possibilities and creates a new set of infinite possibilities. So if you think about that in terms of music, that there's every combination of notes exists in infinity. And so when we, as you say, pluck it out of there, then we've done that, we've made that choice, and a whole bunch of new possibilities arise. As you know, one song leads the other. Anyway, that's getting very esoteric and metaphysical. But you know what I'm saying. You remember this line of thought. So
yes, I do.
So can we hear a song, maybe an original song?
Yeah. I was thinking about this one. I'm gonna try and do a couple things today that I'm not super well rehearsed in, things that are a little newer and that I'm still kind of getting to know. That just felt a little exciting to do today. And so I'm going to do a song that's on my upcoming album, and it's called Ketchikan. And Ketchikan is a little town on the coast of Alaska. And when I graduated from college, my family and I went on a cruise ship, which is not the sort of thing that my family normally does. So
I did too.
Oh yeah. And we went up to Alaska, and Ketchikan was just a very visually beautiful. And sort of the most striking thing about it was that in this incredibly rainy climate, with the sort of gray skies and the deep green trees everywhere, overgrowth and the dark water, they have these extremely colorful houses that are all these like bright, warm colors, like orange and blue, and this is a really, really cool visual. And so the song's kind of just about the dream of being able to live someplace that wonderful someday. And I wrote it. It's a little bit melancholy in the sense that it's, as we were also talking about the other day, at a point in life where you're asking yourself a lot of questions about, like, am I ever going to be able, I've chosen this life of art, and has that kept me from being able to secure that kind of future for myself? Those sorts of dreams that I had because I chose this path. And, but there's also a hopeful quality in it too.
So nice. I can't wait to hear it.
Here we go.
Marty O, Reilly.
Most things that I know, I don't know what they mean. There's just a gray sky and a wet forest and a shelter, warm as its color, like a tangerine. What's the future like? People ask you. It's like the colors of the houses in Ketchikan, Alaska. Most things that I know, I don't know what they mean. Sometimes you just trust it. You trust what you feel. You dream of a future that may not happen. Trusting to be real, to be real. I have all that I need, but what I want most is to see your reflection in the triangle window on the Big Sur coast. I'd have to look back on a very different life to have arrived there. Sometimes you just trust it. You trust what you feel. You dream a future that may not happen. Trust it to be real. Sometimes you just trust it. You trust what you feel. Dream a future that may not happen. Trust it to be real, to be real. All right.
Oh, we can't hear you, Rick.
There we go. I'm going to get
There we
better
go.
at unmuting. I'm getting better at muting and taking myself off screen so that you don't see me like pushing my hair back and neatening my shirt and all that kind of thing. Marty, I want to share with the folks that I go to a lot of concerts, and I go to concerts because I love the performers and I love to support the performers, and there's just something special to me about the music. And I've worked hard and I'm working hard to transform this platform so that could happen. And I'm telling you, I was just gone while you were singing that. I have also been to Ketchikan, have also been on a cruise, and also gained 10 pounds in 1 week. Because you can eat all you want, drink all you want. You have to eat all you want because to make it really worthwhile. But yes, it's fabulous. And to top it off, my stepson is a news reporter in Juneau. So we go up to Alaska quite often. And
Cool.
It's absolutely wonderful. So I want to thank you for that song. And I want to remind everybody, this is Marty O'Reilly. And he has a pen pal account and a PayPal account. And I just told him to bring those along tonight because I want you to support these musicians. And I also want to say that that I am just so entertained. I'm sort of floored because of all the connections we have, and mostly tonight because of the music. I want to ask you a hard question because I like to ask hard questions. I told you I'd ask you a hard question. So Jackson Browne, I've been to many Jackson Browne concerts because I really is one of my favorite songwriters and singer guitarists, other than you, of course, Marty. But as of recent, Jackson Browne wrote a song called Ready or Not. And it was a true story about the conception of his first child after a night of playing at a bar. And it's called Ready or Not. And he wrote that song, and a lot of really sad things happened around that song, and the woman's out of his life and unfortunately off the earth. It's sad. And so whenever someone yells out, sing Ready or Not, he says, I don't do that song anymore. I just don't do that song. And I was wondering if, as you've been in your travels now for the last 15 or more years writing, is there a song that you don't do anymore? You don't have to tell us anything about it or the words or the story or anything, but I just wonder, do you have something like that in your repertoire? Is it?
Yes, I do.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought it up because it's interesting, because it's like I had to learn what was important to me over the years, and what quickly became one of the largest themes was that I really wanted to be as honest as possible. I wanted to I started off writing a lot of songs that were like stories and with fictional characters, and sort of using them to interact with things that I was feeling and experiencing. And then over time, I was trying to more directly make myself and share myself more directly. And when you do that, and music for me is always, it started out as a thing for me to, it was like a coping mechanism for teenage angst and all of that stuff.
Oh yeah.
And so it starts off as like a sort of medicine for yourself. And so you talk about, a lot of vulnerable things come up, and it's really meaningful to know that when you share those things, if they were important or helpful to somebody else. And people, fans share that with me, and they let you know when they request those songs. But sometimes they're just about places that you're not ready to go back to, and it doesn't make the song any less valuable, maybe even more valuable, but it just kind of holds this like sacred quality that, especially because live concerts can be such a celebratory thing, that, there are certain songs where it's only on this kind of night, it's not this night where we're all raging and having a great time, and there's a lot of drinking and socializing, and sometimes you have to reserve certain things for performances that hold sort of a space, and to make sure that you're in the space where you're ready to go there without those kinds of songs. So yeah, that stuff is really real. It's really easy to be like, no, I can do it, it's fine. But I learned quickly, like, no, it's not. You created these things with very real emotions, and they become really real again when you go back there.
I would characterize this for people who are not practicing musicians or who don't play instruments in the same way as there's a song that documents a certain juncture of your life. Mm-hmm. And when you hear that song, your heart and your soul goes back to that time, and you can feel it all the way through. As I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about how songs do that. One of them for me, believe it or not, is Happy Together by the Turtles. It's the first song I danced to. Mm-hmm. And it was a sad moment. I'll share it just real quickly because I think you'll appreciate it. So I was in junior high. I went over to this line of girls that were standing there on one side of the wall, and the boys are on the other wall. And you actually dance with another person back in those days. And I went up to this girl that I really wanted to ask to dance, and she said no. And she rolled her eyes back, and the five girls on both sides of her rolled their eyes, as if the audacity of me asking, little redheaded kind of twerpy guy asking this, pretty girl to dance. And so I went in the bathroom and cried. Mm-hmm. But Happy Together was the song that was playing. So it always triggers that. There's a happy ending, which is that my grandfather was blind, and my grandfather belonged to an organization called the Foundation for the Blind. And he invited me once to bring my youth group to the foundation for the junior blind had a dance. And I was the most popular guy there. And that's not to say I'm so horrible looking that then they would ask me to dance, but my personality shouted out, and I realized, okay, it's not about what's on the outside, it's what's on the inside. Mm-hmm. So Happy Together really does that to me. Just wanted to go down memory lane a little bit, and I'm so comfortable with it.
For me to hear about your, you shared a photo from when your younger years recently, and it was the first time I'd seen a young photo of you. And it's been fun to kind of piece that together with your memory and get this. As one of your students, you don't get a lot of insight into people's lives like that, and so it's very interesting for me.
And so I just also want to say that I feel like I'm sitting in your living room talking to you, which is kind of what I want to bring to people who are watching. So I'm going to be super honest about where I am. And also I'm going to ask you to turn your mic up a little bit or get a little closer so that people can hear you, because when you're singing, it's amazing. And when you're talking, it's a little softer. So anyway.
This is a career-long problem I have of mumbling in between songs.
Yeah, I just watched A.J. Croce, son of Jim Croce, do a concert. He's got a fabulous career. If you have not heard of him, look him up. He's amazing. There's a YouTube also of him singing Operator parallel with his dad, and they go back and forth from him to his dad, and it's just amazing. But anyway, he would sing it out, just like you did. When he was talking, talk like this. Great stories. Fantastic stories. Really good, that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just turn him up. Anyway, Here's the story. I'm an inn in Mendocino. The honest truth is, I just got here last night, and I panicked when I started this broadcast, and I forgot the name of the inn, which is super embarrassing since I'm here. And I promised them that I would. This is the Joshua Grindle Inn. The Joshua Grindle Inn. Let me see if I'm pronouncing that right, because to make sure I had it right, I took a photo of it and I put it in my little photo library, because, got to say it right. And yes, the Joshua Grindle Inn. It's a wonderful little inn in Mendocino. I'm looking out at the ocean, and these people are so nice, and they let me just be in this parlor where there's an old piano and some really beautiful furniture where this guy lived 100 or more years ago. And there's a Victrola over in the corner, which is amazing. A Victrola is a record player.
Oh,
and it's
cool.
It's a cranking Victrola, and it still works. So I want to toss a thank you out to the Joshua Grindle Inn people and recommend it if you live anywhere near Mendocino. Spend some days here. We're spending 4 nights, which is awesome. So that's a lot of talking. Why don't you do a string of 2 songs?
Okay. All right.
And you can actually, a lot of musicians bridge the songs together, but you don't have to do that.
I'll bridge them together. I can do that.
I mean, as they relate to each other, but you don't have to do that either.
I'm going to play 2 songs from my first album, so they're related
Okay.
in that way, and they come from that period that I was referring to earlier of writing a lot of stories and making characters and things like that.
Great.
And the first one is a really fun example of that. It's called The Captain's Daughter, and it starts out as a love song.
I'm down for a love song.
It only starts out as one, though.
Okay. Is there a broken heart?
You have to see.
Okay, it's suspenseful. Here we go.
I'm staring across the deck up at the captain's daughter, and her eyes look brighter than the sun on the water. Yeah, boys, that's right. Yeah, boys, that's right. I hear that we're setting sail tonight. She lets me look just from a distance, and she won't speak to me. But when I sing, she still listens late at night. Yeah, late at night, without a single speck of land in sight. Her dress was bright green and embroidered. Hey, honey, I know, 'cause I've been staring at her since the day that we boarded. Staring at her thigh. Staring at her thigh. Now I'm looking at it in a brand new light. First it was in the heat of passion, but it's been 15 days since we exhausted all the rations. Boys, that's right. Boys, that's right. Now I'm looking at her with an appetite. I'm gonna make her mine, make her mine. Hey, I wanna make her mine. No. Make her mine.
Should I go right into the other one, or should we talk first? What do you think?
Go.
Okay, all right.
Go. Just wanted to say hi and let you know I'm still here.
They're both pretty dark and minor, so.
It's all right.
Tremors in the hallways of the branches. They shook the fruit from these ghostly limbs. I still give you pieces of me, and you make paper from my skin. And if you write me letters, they still read as if you spoke. And when I try to burn them, well, then the words run off in the smoke. I wish I knew which parts of me are still here, and not just pieces I remember. Wish I knew which parts of me you hold dear. You left me ambivalent as can be. If you wanna let me rest, let me sleep. If you wanna cut me deep, you better cut me down. Better to just cut me down. If you let me rest, let me sleep. If you wanna cut me deep, then you better cut me down. Better to just cut me down. Wish I knew which parts of me are still here, not just pieces I remember. I wish I knew which parts of me that you hold dear. You left me ambivalent as can be. If you wanna let me rest, let me sleep. If you wanna cut me deep, you better cut me down. You better to just cut me down. If you wanna let me rest, let me sleep. you wanna cut me deep, no, you better cut me down. Better to just cut me down.
Wow. Yes. Bit dark.
Yeah, really dark.
Great stories. I love music that tells a story, and we get so used to music that I find that it's kind of like a bunch of cliches and strung together. And as a matter of fact, a group, I think it's Maroon 5, took Paco Bell Canon and just wrote words to it. I don't know if you've heard that hit.
No, I haven't.
I don't even know what it's called, but it's very clever. But literally, the literal chord progression of Paco Bell Canon, and it was Memories. It's called Memories. Memories. Check it out. It's interesting until you listen to it. You're like, wait, I've heard that chord progression before. I've played it at 3,000 weddings. Marty, I wonder, do you ever do casuals or just have you ever done casuals like weddings or like casual, like backyard type things, or do you have you just done concerts and clubs?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, I think one of the most fun things about my job is to have variety in what you do, and place dictates so much about that. I think it's way more exciting to find yourself doing gigs like in a concert hall, but also on a boat or in a castle or in somebody's house or on the side of the road or whatever. There's just it's more fun that way, and also the music's better that way. It keeps things alive. And I do weddings and stuff like that. What I always say is like I'm always very excited to do weddings, but I just say I'm not a wedding band. Like I can't show up and do brick house or whatever.
Right.
But
Thank God.
when people want us to play, we usually say like we'll come and do a set of our music for you, and just sort of have a set of our music as part of your night if that's what you want. And
right.
Sometimes people do. I have a couple of those coming up later this year, and that's really fun. And I also feel very honored by that because, especially speaking as a married person now, like understanding the gravity of like what an important day that is. And for a couple that's getting married to want a set of our music to be a part of a day that's significant, I feel this instant sense of like gratitude, and just I feel very honored by that. So it's a really fun thing to do for me.
Yeah, and so the two things that used to happen to me was we did very similar thing, and we did do some concerts we recorded, but we would play a wedding, and somebody would come up to us. This is when we were like in our 50s, and say, "So what do you boys really do?" And I don't know if you've ever been asked that question. And Ron, my beloved music partner, who is always a jester, would say, well, Rick's, a teacher. He's been teaching for years. He's on the management team, and he's got an invention and a family, couple of kids. And I'm Ron, and I'm an alcoholic. And or else he would tell them that he worked at a sewage treatment facility and changed the filters, and then offer to shake their hands. So that's how we dealt with that question. And the other one was that, like that one set thing, we did that too. And people would come up to us who didn't understand why we were there, because they didn't understand the connection between us and the wedding couple. And they would say, when is the real band coming? So,
oh, ouch.
Yeah. So, we still got paid either way, but, so yeah. And then they would ask for Fiddler on the Roof, which I was so sick of playing that I would actually say yes, but it cost $25. And actually, some people actually paid us to do it. Anyway, yeah. So tell us about you have a new album coming out, or is it out already, or?
It's not out. It's suffering from pandemic, live music syndrome. I recorded it in December of 2019. And so, you know, making a record is a huge investment, and the way that you recoup that investment is by doing a tour, and hopefully the ticket sales help pay for the album, because you're streaming on Spotify is not going to. That'll take 10, 15 years. Well, depending on how successful of a musician you are,
Right.
obviously. But and so we tried to decide and just make the best use of the opportunity that was presented to us, and we spent all of 2020 working in the post-production phase on the album. We spent a ton of time mixing it and mastering it, and doing some overdubs, adding in a few more things, and really just saying, okay, we have as much time as we could possibly imagine to work with this. So we really, you know, a lot of it's stuff that only nerdy musicians and engineers will notice, but it's still really fulfilling as an artist to be able to just let something come to fruition like that. And we just finished the audio post-production like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. That's an incredible feeling of just knowing that the album sounds the way it's going to sound and nothing is going to change at this point. And that allows me to shift gears into the sort of the more switch hats to the promotional side. So right now my work involves planning videos. You know, we're gonna make our first legit music video this time around, which I'm really excited about. We're gonna shoot a live concert of the full album. We got to do the album artwork, create social media campaigns. Maybe this is a more long-winded answer than you were looking for.
No. This is exactly the answer I was looking for. That's awesome.
It's really fun, and it's a great feeling that I'm just experiencing these past few days of like, oh my goodness, it feels so good to have that feeling of waking up to having things in your inbox and things that ways you can apply yourself toward the thing you've devoted your life to actively. And it's fun. I can feel work starting to happen. I booked a festival today. I was just like, wow, you know, it feels like I can sense the live music world starting to wake up again, and it's a really cool feeling.
Absolutely, and I want to address that by saying I'm so excited for that to come back. I actually wrote a song during the pandemic called "What About the Silver Linings," and it's on my YouTube channel, Rick Konkoff's YouTube channel, and it's about this, that there's so many things, it's about karma. There's so many things that would not have happened if it were not for the pandemic. And of course, the sadness of all the loss and the illness is tragic. And one of the things that's come from that, for instance, is that, you know, before the pandemic, Zoom and all this kind of format was like something cute that people did once in a while. And now it sort of went from novelty to necessity, and it was ahead back then, and now it's behind. And some great, amazing brain is going to figure out a program where we can all play together on virtually and actually have a recording session where we just all play together. So there's a lot of things that will come out of it, and one of the things also is humility. And for all of us, and equanimity. And by that, I mean that if we are the richest person in the world or the poorest person in the world, we are both humans. We are all humans together. And it has brought us to the point where we can appreciate that. And one of the things that I would like to revive, all that being said, from yesteryear, is patronage, is people who have the billions and have the mega millions to, when you find an artist that you love, support them. I mean, all these people in the past, classical musicians, romantic musicians of the past, a lot of them had patrons who just paid their way so they could write music. And of course, they were beholden to those people, but it'd be a nice thing to do. And if you can't do that, at least send Marty some money on Venmo or PayPal, because that would be, you know, a sort of a smaller version of patronage. But it does matter, and whatever it is, it does help. I also want to say that some great songs have probably come. I can say that I've heard one of the songs on the album, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And Marty knows you can cover your face or your eyes, or whatever. But I flipped over this song. It was really, really moved me. And it's one of those songs, it's a discovery song, because the minute I heard it, I was like, oh yeah, that song was meant to be written. And I'm so excited for you to release it so that I can share it with my friends. Also, I've been listening to your song Firmament with your band over and over again.
The song I just tuned up to play.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I must be psychic. Wait, let me guess your sign. Marty. Hold on. Just look straight into the camera.
Okay.
I am psychic, and I'm going to guess you are a Pisces.
No.
I mean, hold on a second. I was getting the wrong vibe. I was getting that from one of the people that wrote in a comment. Hold on. I got a Pisces vibe there. You are a Scorpio.
Close. There are pincers involved.
Oh, a Capricorn.
Cancer.
I knew it. See, I was just about there. I didn't know what this meant, so I didn't catch on to that. All right. Yeah. Okay.
Cool,
so
Marty.
Anyway, I knew you were going to do that song. I'm really excited that I predicted that song. That's incredibly serendipitous.
Yeah.
I'm a fan, Marty.
Thank you, Rick. That means a lot to me.
Do you have a
And
T-shirt?
you know I'm a fan of you too.
Do you have T-shirts?
I do have T-shirts.
Okay, Marty.
I have really cool T-shirts, actually.
I'll tell you what. I'll send you a Venmo donation. You send me a T-shirt. I'll send you my address.
Okay. Deal.
Okay, deal?
Yes.
Because I'm a patron, small-time patron.
I accept the Medici treatment too. You know, if someone wants me to come live in their castle or whatever.
Great. I'm in an inn, by the way, for those that don't know, the Joshua Grindle Inn. So there are people coming and going. They gave me the whole parlor tonight, but if you hear doors opening and closing, that's guests with masks on. And in honor of the pandemic, for this song, I'll put my mask on.
All right.
Even though there's no one in here. Just to show you that I put a big post on my Facebook today. Please, everybody, be careful because we don't want it to start again. But I'm not going to wear it because I think it's going to make you laugh. So, and there's nobody in here, and it's okay. And I'm not breathing anyway. So go ahead, Marty.
All right, here we go. So yeah, I'm gonna tell the backstory behind this too, because I told
please.
you. Because I think it's kind of fun. Is I love gospel music a lot, and I do a lot of gospel songs at my shows, and I have a lot of these like sort of big questions that I ask in my writing for myself, and a lot of people think that I'm very religious, and I'm not. But I'm agnostic, and I thought, well, wouldn't it be fun to just sort of write an agnostic gospel song? And, you know, so for me, it's just, not about like having answers, but just asking questions and just expressing sort of an enamored feeling with the universe. And so this is my agnostic gospel song, Firmament.
Lanterns and silent bells suspended above the blood blue river. Clockwork surround. I'm still as the architecture, and you're subtle now, the spider silk. Shy as a moment between inhale and exhalation. Hiding in the quilt, the process of fermentation. Oh, whatever you're building, it takes a very long time. I wish that I'd be here to see it when you're done. At least I get to witness all of your gorgeous trials and errors. At least I get to peek behind the burning curtain of the sun. Whatever you're building, it takes a very long time. But I wish I'd be here to see it when you're done.
Biffed it right at the end there, but I think did okay otherwise. Oh, you're still muted, Ricky.
Hey, Marty, thank
Thank
you,
you.
Marty. When I used to see Marty in school, for some crazy reason, I used to go, Marty, and he used to go, Ricky. And he probably doesn't remember that because he probably doesn't want to remember that.
Do.
You know, I'm going to say one more little shtick before I ask you to do your last song tonight, although I'd like to keep you on all night and just have you sing me to sleep and sing us all to sleep because it's such beautiful music and the stories and all. What I want to say is, as you probably all know, I'm Jewish, and we're in Passover right now. And Passover is a holiday of freedom. And it's about the fact that we were slaves and now we are free. And it's only real if it has meaning to us on a level of human dignity. And the reality is, as long as one person in the world is enslaved, as long as one person in the world is not free, then we are slaves in our consciences. We are slaves in consciousness to the lack, to the apathy, and to the fact that we don't stand in solidarity with people who are not making a living wage, with people who are made to stay in relationships that they don't want to be in, when people are taken away in foreign countries, when children are taken away and enslaved. As long as those things are happening, we are not free, which is why Passover is still such an important holiday. So I would ask, whether you celebrate Passover, Easter, whatever you celebrate, the question can be asked, what am I a slave to? We are slaves to substances. We are slaves to addiction. We are slaves to money. We are slaves to desire. We are slaves to so many things that if we could just let go of them, we would be free. And we're all reminded right now that we have the gift of life, and but for whatever circumstance, we are still here, and a lot of people are not. And so I put out a blessing and a plea to the world to please unite around caring about the freedom of others. So we indeed cannot celebrate. We can humbly be grateful that we're not in that position. But yet, if one man or one woman or one human being of any kind is in that position, it is as if the whole world is. So let's pray for freedom and world peace. And as we celebrate Passover and Easter and any other holiday you might celebrate, remember that, and maybe, Marty, this could be a little message for you. It's a question, and it is, what if God is a verb? What if God is something that we do? And so agnostic is beautiful. In reality, we're all agnostics because none of us really know. If we know there's God or we know there isn't God, we're sure there isn't God, we're fundamentalists. But right there in the middle, we all live. So God bless you, Marty. And you can take it out with a song. And next week, we have a fabulous gentleman coming. I'll be posting that very soon. And his name is Lars Rossiger. And can you believe this? He plays the 7-string guitar. And it's from, I guess, the 1600s. And has a BA and a master's and degrees and all of this kind of music from way, way back. And you'll have to get used to it because it's different. And the funny thing is, talk about silver linings. I met him because I was filling out some loan papers, and he was the guy that made sure that I signed right, signed my name correctly. He came over to my house, and he was the notary. And then we got to talk. He found out he was a musician, and he'll be on the show next week. Lars,
Cool.
I hope if you're listening, Lars, we're looking forward to hearing you. So, Marty, let's take it on out. We'll say our goodbyes, and thank you so much for gracing this program with some incredibly soulful music that is not written enough anymore, but you're going to take it on for the next 30, 40, 50, 60 years and keep it rolling. And hopefully I'll be around to listen.
Thanks, Rick.
I
It's
love
been
you,
a
Marty.
great pleasure to have a good excuse to reconnect with you, and this has been so much fun. And
Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right. Enjoy yourself on this final song.
There's a better world a coming, don't you see, see, there's a better world a coming, don't you see, don't you know, can't you see, there's a better world a coming, don't you see. Well, I went across that river, I lay down to sleep. When I crossed that river, Lord, I lay down to sleep. And on the day that I woke up, I found shackles on my feet, shackles on my feet. to sing a worried song. Takes a worried man to sing a worried song. But I'm worried now, but I won't be worried long. I won't be, no, won't be worried. I went across that river. I lay down to sleep. When across that river, good Lord, I lay down till I lay down to sleep. On the day that I woke up, I found shackles on my feet.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Rick, you still with us? Might just be me now. Well, I'm going to sign off. Thanks for joining me, everybody.
Okay, I'm back to end the show. There was a little tumbling act going on there with the computer, but I hope you all enjoyed the show. Thanks for coming.